Hey friends, what is up and welcome back to my channel. As you guys can tell from the title of today's video, I wanted to do something I never do on my channel, and that would be to review a book, or really simply to sit down and talk to you guys about this book, because so far this year, I would say that this is the most disappointing book that I have read. And as you guys can tell from the title of the video, it would be King of Scars by Leigh Bardugo. I have some thoughts on this book, and I realized that I should probably sit down and do a review for it, because when I was doing my vlog, I had a lot of thoughts, and that vlog has since been taken down because there were some audio issues, and I can't fix it because once I upload a video, the video is gone off my computer. It's just on YouTube, and I couldn't change that. And a lot of people reached out and said that they could try to fix it for me, but honestly, it's just gone, and that's okay. Yesterday was a wash for me. Yesterday was a day where everything bad happened. But I did still want to get my thoughts out on this book, which is why I am going to be doing a review, really just sitting down and telling you guys the things I liked about it, the things that I didn't like about it, and my thoughts on the duology series, whatever it's going to be moving forward, because I feel like a lot happened but didn't happen in this book, and I did want to sit down and talk to you guys about it, see what you guys thought about it. It has been out for a while. Just as a general idea here though, this is going to have spoilers. It's going to have spoilers for Six of Crows, it's going to have spoilers for the Grisha trilogy, and it's going to have spoilers for this book. This is a spoilery review. I'm not tiptoeing around anything today. I am going to be talking about exactly what happens in this book and exactly some of the things that happen in like the Grisha trilogy and the Six of Crows duology. So if you haven't read either of those, this isn't the video for you. But I'm gonna grab my coffee because I feel like this is a video that definitely needs coffee. I am very tired. As you guys can tell, I had to move around my office. I'm trying to make space for my plants, and it didn't work like I wanted it to, so unfortunately, now we're just left with this mess. So I'm really sorry that if anything is like messy behind me, but I'm working with what I got. So, starting off on a few of the things that I liked about this book. This book obviously follows Nikolai, or is supposed to follow Nikolai following the ending of the Grisha trilogy. If you're not familiar with the Grisha trilogy, Nikolai is basically infested with the Darkling. The Darkling is killed and he is left with his memory, but he does transform sometimes into this winged beast that isn't Nikolai himself. He is simply out for blood. He wants to kill, and that is how the beginning of this book starts, is with Nikolai and Zoya working together to try to confine Nikolai and figure out what the fuck is happening with him. Now, that's just the basis of the story. Nikolai is trying to get rid of the darkness that's inside of him. He is trying to, obviously rule his own country, and he's having a lot of trouble with that because obviously he has to be locked up at night. He does escape. That happens pretty much early on in the beginning of the book, and that is something they deal with throughout the entirety of the story. Now, what I really liked about this book is definitely the character backstories. Now, you do get a little bit more on Nikolai, but I feel like primarily the stories that you get are Zoya and Nina. This book is told from a lot of different perspectives. Primarily Nikolai, Zoya, and Nina are three main characters the perspective is told through. And I feel like the backstory that you get on every single one of those characters throughout their chapters is stunning. I really appreciate getting to know better characters that I already love. Now, Nina is not my favorite character. I do not actually like the Six of Crows duology at all. I read the first one, DNF the second one. I do know how it ends, and I just don't care. But I will say getting to know Nina a little bit better this way was actually really nice. Sometimes I was bugged by the fact that there were a lot of homages that were done for the Six of Crows duology, but that is where she comes from, so it makes sense. If you are a fan of that series or that duology, you'll really like Nina's perspective. But I do appreciate the fact that we got a lot more backstory on Zoya, a lot more character development on Nina, a lot more character development on Nikolai. Now, Nikolai did kind of lack in character development, but I feel like his story was pretty linear on what was supposed to happen. Another thing that I really liked about this is you get their perspectives on things that are happening. So I was kind of worried going into this that this would only be about Nikolai, in the sense of only told from Nikolai's perspective. So I do appreciate that Nina, her perspective on the book is kind of the sneaky, trying to get information portion. And I did appreciate that because it was kind of like the backstory of what was happening, like the undercover, like secondary story that was happening. And then Zoya and Nikolai obviously are the main story, and they are the ones who are sort of moving the story along. Now, I do really appreciate that, but other than those things, I would have to say there isn't much that I liked about this book. I feel like even for me, one of the things that I really struggled with was Nikolai. Now, obviously this is King of Scars, so you thought it was going to be a lot about Nikolai, you thought you were going to get a lot more backstory on him, but I feel like the story really lacked in that regard. I feel like the story for Nikolai was a great setup for what is going to happen later on, and I don't know if it's going to be, like I said, a duology or a series, but I feel like it really set that up really well, but it made Nikolai's character very lacking. Also, a lot of the time with Nikolai, I felt like he was a caricature of himself. I feel like there was a lot of pandering to fans. He was way more sassy than I feel like he normally is, but for some reason, when I was reading those things, the things that I really like about Nikolai are his quips and how quick thinking he is and how sassy he is. But for me, some reason when I was reading the story, I didn't connect with him like I used to. And he is absolutely, other than the Darkling, my favorite character in the entire series. So I did really struggle with that as well. I feel like he wasn't true to himself in many ways. Now, that could be, and I do realize, because Lee is trying to set up the rest of the series, or because obviously things are a little bit different for Nikolai. But for me, I feel like if he was so different, that she pushed a little too strongly on the things that we really loved of Nikolai, and it kind of really grated me the wrong way. Another thing that I didn't really like about this is I was confused going into the book on why it was called King of Scars, because by the end of it, I feel like the characters that really shone were Zoya and Nina, primarily Zoya. I found their stories incredibly interesting. I found like their character development amazing, but for me, the whole King of Scars thing, I think anybody going into this really looking and hoping that this is going to be just a book about Nikolai is going to be sorely disappointed, because I feel like he wasn't present very much. I feel like the story was really about Zoya and really about Nina, and setting up Nikolai for further along in the series. And I feel like a lot of people like me are probably going to be disappointed by that. I feel like it should be titled something else completely, like Queen of Dragons, or like, I don't know, like Heartrender of something, because Nikolai wasn't really the main focus of the story. And I feel like it's gonna be, the people that continue with the series are gonna be uber fans. Like, I plan on reading the second one because I understand and have this knowledge of the rest of the characters now, and know that knowing Lee, she's setting up the story. And one thing that I did realize when I was kind of upset about this is Lee is obviously growing and changing just as a person in her day-to-day life. And I feel like her books are obviously going to reflect that as well. So I tried not to be too hard on it. I did end up giving it 3 stars out of 5, but it is an incredibly disappointing book for me. There were a lot of things about it that I didn't really like the pseudo love interests in the story. I feel like were very weird. I feel like the one with Nina, or what I think might happen with Nina with her ship, I think that was very interesting, but the Zoya and Nikolai kind of romance that was going on, I didn't really like that. It wasn't really heavy-handed, but you can tell that's kind of the direction that she's going with the story, and I don't appreciate that. I feel like Zoya would be much better by herself. She's a strong woman. She doesn't need to be with Nikolai to further her character, and I am worried that that is what's going to happen. But we'll see, because a lot of the story is about Zoya trying to find a match for Nikolai. It's one of the reoccurring themes in the book, is they're actually having like a big gala to try to bring ladies in for someone to marry Nikolai. And while this is happening, and even while Nikolai and Zoya are away from the capital, she does get little pangs of jealousy, and so does Nikolai. And I'm like, please don't go that way, because I don't want that to happen. Zoya is such a strong character, and she doesn't need to be that kind of person for Nikolai. And throughout the story, there are actually times when people are interacting with Zoya and they're like, well, you could be queen. And she's like, I don't want to be queen. She even tells Nikolai, when he asks her if she wants more responsibility in their kingdom, she's like, I don't want that. Like, I don't want to deal with like more responsibility. This is my job and I'm going to do it. So I'm really hoping in the long term that Lee will kind of keep that with Zoya. I'm really hoping, because of the type of person that Lee is, that she won't try to put them together, and maybe she's just trying to take like the focus off of some things in this story. I'm not sure, but I didn't really enjoy that aspect of it. And then also the last thing that I didn't really enjoy about this story is I guess I would say, the very ending of the book. The Darkling technically comes back. There is a character in the book who is part of a group of people who worship the Darkling as a saint, and he's called the Starless Saint, I believe. And what I really don't like about the story is, at the end of the book, when Nikolai is attempting to get the Darkling out of him, when he's attempting to kill off the darkness within inside of him, the Darkling essentially inhabits another person's body. And I love the Darkling. The Darkling is, other than Nikolai, my favorite character in the entire series. I might like the Darkling even more than Nikolai. But my problem with this is, it seems like such a half-ass pandering to people. That darkness within him could have been anything. The fact that she made it the Darkling, okay, fine. But the fact that she made the Darkling come back in this capacity, because when it happens, he doesn't have the same strength that he used to, or you assume that he doesn't, because he was almost dead when he did inhabit this other body. So finding out a little bit of his backstory and how he technically survived the burning of his body really, I feel like, did a disservice to the original series. I think we've all kind of accepted the Darkling isn't around anymore, and maybe we could have moved on to bigger and badder bad guys in this. But for me, it seems like a lot of people were demanding backstories on the Darkling, were demanding more story on Nikolai, so she kind of just shoved it all into one book and tried to bring everybody back. And I'm not really a fan of that. I don't really enjoy that. I think that the Darkling is gone, we need to let him be gone, and there's no reason to bring him back as the bad guy in this story. Like, I feel like it's uncreative to me. It really, really bugged me, but that is what I liked and didn't like about King of Scars. Like I said, I gave it 3 stars. I am excited to read the second one though, because I truly think that I'm gonna like the second one even more, because it is a series, I feel like, or this book is a book that does set up everything else. And I do feel like now having a little bit more backstory, I think we're really going to enjoy the next one, but we'll just have to see. Like I said, pretty disappointed. I was expecting 5 stars all around. This was my most anticipated release of the year, and I was severely let down. But let me know in the comments below what you guys thought of this book if you have read it. Did you like it? Did you not like it? What are some things that you thought of that you really disliked or liked about the book, or reasons why you may or may not read the second one? But I love you guys a lot. Thank you for sitting down with me and just talking about this book. I just really needed to get out there what I thought of it, because it has been on my mind and has really been bugging me. But yeah, I love you guys a lot, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!